Detergent plus fabric.
Impossible.
Now, there will be 4 more teams looking for head coaches in the very near future. That's because on this past Wednesday, NBA Commissioner David Stern announced that the Board of Governors had voted to add 4 new franchises to the league by the 1989-90 season.
Stein and countless others spent years convincing the NBA to bring a team to Minnesota.
These are exterior walls.
In 1989, their wish came true.
2 finalists are the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Minnesota Polars.
And there it was. In 1989, the NBA made its grand return to Minneapolis. A return? Yes, because the city had once been home to the Lakers before their move to Los Angeles in 1960. Led by the legendary George Mikan, the team had won 4 championships in Minnesota. At a time when NBA was still in its infancy, the Minneapolis Lakers were one of the first teams to captivate the public's attention. Back in 1960, the franchise's finances were in disarray. To save the team, the decision was made to relocate to glamorous California. Despite an unusual name, the Los Angeles Lakers quickly made history, leaving behind memories of Minneapolis.
Everybody thinks of Minnesota as being a hockey town, and that's because it's so cold there, and the weather there in the winter is not fun. It's not a desirable place to be a lot of times during the winter. But I do think there is a very, very strong basketball fan base there. I mean, if you think about the history of the Timberwolves, when they very first started, they didn't have a real basketball arena. So they played in the Minneapolis Metrodome, which was the old home of the American football team, the Minnesota Vikings. One year they had 1 million fans in attendance, like their first year. So basketball fans are easily, found throughout all of Minnesota.
Nearly 30 years later, Minnesota welcomed a new NBA team. Their goal? To revive the Lakers' glory days. But let's face it, Timberwolves fans' hearts froze faster than a Minneapolis winter. Season after season, the team delivered lackluster basketball. 8 long years after their creation, the Timberwolves were teetering on the edge of collapse.
The team kept losing season after season after season after season. So I think a lot of the fans, they really still deep down loved basketball and they wanted something to be excited about, but they also were like, we're just going to be bad again.
Toronto, Ontario, Canada, site of the 1995 NBA Draft.
The NBA Draft, a beacon of hope, finally brought salvation. In 1995, Kevin Garnett, a high school phenom, defied convention by jumping straight to the NBA.
I work pretty hard at everything that I do. And I know the NBA is just another level of hard work. And I'm set for that step.
Gradually, Garnett gave the Timberwolves a fighting chance on the court. After 7 years of first-round playoff exits, 2004 marked a pivotal year for Minnesota. But once that dream season ended, the Timberwolves reverted to old habits. In 2007, their icon Kevin Garnett left to claim a championship with the Boston Celtics. From 2004 to 2021, 17 grueling seasons, the Wolves only made the playoffs once.
They had some really good talent. They didn't have anybody on that team that knew how to win. And that was the biggest problem.
Despite accolades like Rookie of the Year for Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns, no player, whether young or experienced, seemed capable of lifting the team from the depths. In 2020, as had happened too often, the roster ended up at the bottom of the NBA standings. Since their inception in 1989, the Minnesota Timberwolves have been regarded as one of the worst franchises in American sports history.
And every time it looked like there was going to be something to get excited about, it seemed like there was always some kind of, other shoe that would drop. And I think about my first year with the Timberwolves, 2012, 2013, and they had Kevin Love, and Ricky Rubio was coming back from his ACL, but he was only going to miss like the first month of the season. Everybody was projecting them to be on the cusp of 50 wins and maybe even have home court for the first round of the playoffs. And then a week before training camp, Kevin Love ends up breaking his hand. So that whole season went down the drain. And then the next year, they thought everybody was going to be back healthy, and they had all sorts of injuries again that year. It was just every year there was injuries.
And that's when Minneapolis met a man who didn't know the meaning of defeat. Anthony Edwards' story is one of resilience and determination. Born in Atlanta on June 5, 2001, he was nicknamed Ant-Man by his father at a young age. However, his father played little role in his life, raised by his mother and grandmother.
My grandma kept everything together. When we didn't have a place to stay, she let us come stay with her.
Edwards grew up bigger, stronger, and faster than his peers, a natural football player.
I played football, basketball, and baseball until probably like 14. I thought I was going to be in the NFL. And then I started getting better at basketball.
Initially passionate about football, Edwards discovered basketball through his older brother. By the time he reached high school, scouts from across the country were taking notice. His American dream was taking shape until tragedy struck. In 2015, at just 14 years old, Edwards lost his mother and grandmother to cancer within months of each other. From then on, he chose to wear the number 5 in their honor, as both passed on the 5th of the month.
2015, I lost my mom and my grandma. And I mean, it wasn't easy. So I just kept playing basketball. Like, me and my brother told each other we weren't gonna stop playing basketball because of it, because we know that if they were still here, they would want us to keep playing. So I just channeled all my energy towards basketball. And my grandma, she was like, no matter what happens in life, just smile, because you're able to wake up and see the next day. That's why every time people see me, I always got a smile on my face, no matter what's going on.
When did the idea of playing in the NBA kind of enter your mind first?
Probably when I was 15. I just started working super hard at basketball, and I was getting better and better.
By 2018, Edwards' rise was meteoric. A spectacular athlete and relentless worker, he became one of the most sought-after recruits in the nation. Hungry for more, Ant-Man left high school early to join the NCAA.
I mean, an NBA player told me, like, once you know you're ready for college, you get bored, like in high school, the games. So me and him was watching film, and he was like, yeah, you're getting bored.
1,000 facts on next season. I'll be attending at the University of Georgia.
At the end of the day, I'm a homebody. I love my city, and I wanted my people to stay close around.
Edwards chose to stay close to home, and Georgia couldn't have been prouder. Playing for the Bulldogs, he had a record-breaking season.
Ways impacts the game in a lot of ways. Second steal for the Ant-Man, and you could see if it was going to be a flagrant one.
Anthony Edwards is, not only is he so physical and dynamic, he's intimidating.
Adriel Bailey out there. They're going to let him take that shot and try to protect inside out.
Little step back from the Ant-Man.
In his NCAA debut, 24 points and 9 rebounds, the best performance for the school since Dominic Wilkins in 1979. Too powerful, too aggressive, Edwards dominated, finishing as one of the top freshman scorers that year. When it was time to enter the NBA, the Atlanta native was among the most coveted prospects in the nation. But the country's focus had shifted away from basketball.
The World Health Organization declared that the coronavirus crisis is now a pandemic.
Astounding and unprecedented story continues to evolve. The NBA is suspending the season.
Amid the COVID-19 pandemic, the NCAA was canceled in unprecedented fashion. Anthony Edwards never had the chance to showcase his talent in March Madness. Players with Edwards' physique are not uncommon, but his mental toughness, that's rare. Through his life's trials and tribulations, the young shooting guard remained unwaveringly determined. Ahead of the draft, NBA draft analysts remarked, "While there are no certainties in this draft, Anthony Edwards seems like the safest bet for the first pick. Yes, his consistency and shooting still need work, but he's mentally tough and has the physique to dominate the NBA quickly." Anthony Edwards, a young man whose mantra is victory. Ironically, he was about to join a team synonymous with defeat.
With the first pick in the 2020 NBA Draft, the Minnesota Timberwolves select Anthony Edwards from the University of Georgia.
As you can see, my grandmother's right here and my mother's right here. They're with me at all times.
When he first got selected, we were not, and I say we collectively as both myself and the rest of our broadcast team and the fan base as well, I don't think anybody was really 100% convinced that they had gotten the right guy, because there was so much talk about LaMelo Ball. And there were people that were buying the LaMelo hype and, should they have taken LaMelo Ball with that pick? But there were a lot of people that were questioning, did the Timberwolves make the right pick?
After a prolonged COVID-related hiatus, Edwards couldn't wait to make his NBA debut, and it didn't take long for him to prove the Timberwolves had chosen wisely. With his physicality and mentality, Edwards showed he was a force. When he decides to score, he scores.
Edwards, and the rookie splashes the three. Edwards out!
This is my dream to play in the NBA, so no matter how I was born, as far as outside of basketball, I don't really care. I mean, that was my dream to make it to the NBA and play the game that I love. So I'm doing that, and I'm cool with it.
Vanderbilt able to get the Timberwolves a second chance, and Edwards cashes it in.
In his rookie season, Ant-Man averaged 19 points, 5 rebounds, and 3 assists. But it wasn't just his stats that won fans over. Oh yes, there's something undeniably special about him.
I want you to just describe your style of play. Like, what makes Ant Ant?
I think mostly just being excited on the court, having fun, smiling.
Both go down. 5 on 3. Oh! Catch up a little bit.
You have Popeyes, Ant?
Yeah, man. I had to get Popeyes after the game. Hold on, y'all. Don't ask no questions yet. I'm trying to put an order in. McDonald's.
Edwards! Oh, they were lucky that wasn't turned over. Anthony Edwards! That time, he does finish!
Anybody that you would ever back down against when you see who was in front of you there?
Over for Utah. Edwards gets it back and threw it down. Ant off the feed, and Anthony Edwards showing that Ant can.
Look at love.
Good lady.
I used to play baseball when I was young. Yeah, it'd be hot.
Really? How good a baseball player were you?
I could have went to the MLB.
MLB?
Yeah.
I am not surprised.
I'm serious though. You think I'm joking? I'm serious. Since I was a kid, I've always been confident in everything I do.
He is absolutely fearless. He wants the ball in his hand. His confidence is at a level.
How do you guys kind of keep your confidence up right now?
Confidence still at an all-time high. I mean, I hope the same for all my teammates. Our confidence don't get low. We got to win these games.
He believes supremely that he is going to be able to do whatever he wants, and it's, it is showing. But it's the perfect combination of confidence, of ability, of work ethic, of, learning the game and completely soaking in all the knowledge of it that he can get. I don't think he has fully supplanted Kevin Garnett as the best player in Timberwolves franchise history yet, but I think he's going to supplant him in that regard by the time it's all said and done, for sure.
Humor, confidence, charisma, electrifying gameplay. Sound familiar? One might wonder if Anthony Edwards is Michael Jordan's spiritual successor.
I get the Jordan comparisons. I think that they're legit. I mean, if you watch him on the court, some of his moves, he looks like Jordan. And I wouldn't doubt that he's studied tape on Jordan.
And splendid motor control.
Stephen A. Smith, Kevin Garnett, Kendrick Perkins, they have all compared you to the next coming of Michael Jordan. What do you say to that?
I mean, how would I look denying it? But I don't want to be compared to somebody of such caliber. I mean, I haven't did anything on his level yet, but I love it. I love that they got faith in me for sure. I mean, they're not wrong.
He loves the game, man. I mean, he loves the game. And he'll put in whatever work needs to be put in. He's, he wants to learn. You could see him being that same way around LeBron whenever they would play the Lakers. Anybody that was a big time player in the league, you would see Ant, talking with them. And I know that those conversations not only happened in the arenas when we were playing those teams, but I know he had those relationships with them off the court.
Over 30 years after their creation, the Timberwolves had only one standout season. In 2023 to 2024, that curse was broken. The Timberwolves dominated the Western Conference. They crushed Phoenix in the first round of the playoffs and staged a comeback against Denver. Though Minnesota fell to Dallas in the conference finals, the foundation was laid. For the first time, Minnesota fans could take pride in their franchise. Their new hero, Anthony Edwards.
I mean, the guy is so charismatic, and he's a fun person to be around. He checks every box. The Timberwolves could not have picked a better player than him. He hasn't even reached his prime yet. I think he's only going to get better, and it's going to be scary good. I think he's going to be a legit MVP candidate, possibly this season.
At just 23 years old, Edwards has the potential to become the face of the NBA. His youth was marked by hardship, and countless times he could have given up, but he didn't. Having lost so much, Ant-Man understood that he had everything to gain. This might be the greatest lesson from Anthony Edwards' rise. With joy and determination, no dream is out of reach.